Hi, everybody. Well, it's been a couple of weeks since I posted a song on Facebook, but I'm back. Last week I was kind of busy. I did a streaming concert for Acoustic Spotlight here in London last Wednesday, and it was a lot of fun. But anyway, I'm back, and I'm going to do another song from an album that I've produced. This one goes back a few years. It goes back to the mid '90s, and it was an album that I did with a group called Tranby Croft, which consisted of three people: Phil Floyd, Helen Jarvis, and Bob Cunningham. There's a picture of the group there. Uh, I go back a long way with Bob Cunningham. Actually, a while back I sang some songs from a group that I was in with Bob back in the 60s called Windy Sprinkle. And there's a picture of the Windy Sprinkle. This picture was actually taken in England in 1967 when we were on tour over there. And I'm the guy leaning up against the car, the Sprinkle Mobile as we called it. And just to my right is Bob Cunningham. And so we've remained friends ever since. We're still friends today. I really value his friendship. And he's a wonderful singer and a wonderful songwriter. And I'm going to do one of his songs that was actually included in the Tranby Croft album that I spoke of. This song is one that he wrote about a house that he lived in here in London. It's a historic building called Thornwood. This house was built in the mid 19th century, and there's a picture of it as it looked back then, and now here are a few pictures of it as it looks today. And Bob and his wife Mary Lou lived in this house for I think a couple of years, and they loved it there. And it was a house just so full of history and character. Uh, Actually, it was a place where, in the song he talks about it, prime ministers and kings visiting this house. In fact, John A. Macdonald did visit this house, as did Sir Robert Borden and the Prince of Wales, and even Winston Churchill, apparently, when he was just a teenager. Anyway, so a lot of history in this house. And Bob wrote a wonderful song about it, and it's called Thornwood, and it's on the album that I did with Tranby Croft in the mid-'90s. The album is called Timeline, and there's a picture of the cover there. So anyway, here's my attempt at Bob's wonderful song, Thornwood. Here we go. High above the old riverbed, peeking out from the trees, is the lovely old mansion sleeping under the leaves. Her doorways are yawning and her windows are cracked, and the paint flakes away, leaving scars on her back. She's a lady, she's a remnant of some former time, when the winters were hard and the summers were fine. Her memories are threadbare like the carpets on the floor. You fly back to another era as you walk through the door. The coach house brings ghosts riding up from the Thames, when Thornwood played host to prime ministers and kings. A carriage creaks softly and the shadows rustle in. Their voices are leaves that blow away in the wind. She's a lady, she's a remnant of some former time, when the winters were hard and the summers were fine. Her memories are threadbare like the carpets on the floor. You fly back to another era as you walk through the door. There are horns of a buffalo, a tiger from Bengal, the foot from an elephant, Queen Vicky on the wall. There are faces in uniform glaring out from the gloom, and whatnots full of bric-a-brac gathering dust round the room. Well, she's a lady, she's a remnant of some former time, when the winters were hard and the summers were fine. Her memories are threadbare like the carpets on the floor. You fly back to another era as you walk through the door. married him at 22, raised up his young, but he left for the war, and he never came home. Now she's 80 and lonely and stares at her hands, while wreckers stand by and gloat at her lands. She's a lady, she's a remnant of some former time, when the winters were hard and the summers were fine. Her memories are threadbare like the carpets on the floor. You fly back to another era as you walk through the door. You fly back to another era as you walk through the door. Thornwood by Bob Cunningham.